Kaizer Chiefs 4, Orbit College 1. 4 goals in one match. That sounds crazy because we had not scored more than 1 goal in a match in the league since the very first game on the 10th of August against Stellenbosch. We did score 3 in the CAF Confederations Cup, but not in the league. So this is brilliant, and I will be dropping the analysis of this game on the Cutback channel, but today I just want to talk about Mdu Shabalala because the game, forget the goals that he scored, because I know people get hung up on, oh, he scored goals, so that means he had a good game, or he had an assist, that means he had a good game. No. Let's talk about his improvement. If you watch the pre-match video, right, I said that if Mdu Shabalala can improve his movement off the ball, he will become deadly. And the results, you see, he scores 2 goals. It could have been a hat-trick. He passes the ball that was scored by Mfundo Vilakazi. He is also involved in the goal of Da Silva. So all the 4 goals, Mdu Shabalala is involved. And look at where he is. Look at how he moves seconds before the goal is even created. By the way, if the sound is bad, that's because I'm here at home sitting and the camera and the other microphones are with Bongani and Samge, so forgive me for that. But yeah, Mdu Shabalala, that is what I expect from him. That is what the coaches were expecting from a 10. The kind of movement, the kind of commotion that he was causing for the defense of Orbit is exactly what you want. Late arrivals into the box, running into the box, because that's one of the things that I've complained about a lot in the previous videos. And the fact that he's fixing such things, it tells you that then as a person, as a player himself, he's looking at his performances and he's thinking, okay, this is lacking and it should be fixed, and it's getting fixed. So shout out to him, shout out to the coaches if they've also addressed this with him, because it's such an important thing. Second player that I want to talk about is you subscribing to the channel if you are enjoying the video. But okay, second player, Asanele Valipai. Asanele Valipai can play with his right foot. He can play with his left foot. He's ambidextrous. Yes, he can play with his left foot, right foot. And today, if there is one thing that was addressed by the coaching staff in both places, I already said this to someone on Twitter, is the fact that they were trying by all means to get supply into the box. So if you see Velepai against Simba, he was playing on the right hand side, so he was taking the ball, running down the line because he can use his right foot. On the left, did you see what he was doing today? He wasn't trying to get the ball and cutting in. He was getting the ball, running down the line, and then when he gets by the side, then he can try and cross the ball. If you look on the side of Vilakazi, it was the same thing. Vilakazi cuts in, who runs outside? Munyane runs exactly down the line so that we can play crosses into the box. So the issue of supply is obviously being addressed. And once again, it's one thing that I said earlier on in the season. I was like, okay, I like Lepo staying wide because he stretches the defenders, but the issue that I have is that he's too far from the goal, and also that means he cuts in, and that means the balls are not going to be delivered into the box. So these small things that were an issue, they are gradually being sorted out, because now that means when we enter the box, we have more numbers. When we enter the box, the ball is being whipped in, and that's harder to defend for the team that we are playing against. And if we're cutting in all the time, you become predictable, and they're not scared of, oh, he's going to cut in, so let's just defend the box. But if they know that you're going to cut in but then play the ball wide, then now it's like, but we must also be wary of the person who's making the run outside. And then they follow that player, and in them following that player, there are now spaces, and there's now a bit of commotion in that box. As a result, you have Mdu Shabalala arriving late into the box. By the way, I'm thinking about Da Silva's goal as I'm speaking, because he's now on 4 goals for Kaizer Chiefs. And this is a guy who arrived when? He arrived at Chiefs, and he only is a top goal scorer, but he's the one who's not played all the games. I was trying to go and look at his goal because I think it is offside, and I know people will say that. I want to show you. It's something that I'm thinking about right now. Uguti, okay, he's in line, it's fine. He's in line with the goalkeeper as the second last defender. I thought it was offside. It's me thinking about it, because I was looking at it, Uguti, the defender was now the technically the last player, which means if you are not in line with the second last player, which in this case is the goalkeeper, that makes you offside, but he's not. Speaking of Vele Baige delivering to the box, but the next thing is Mfundo Vilakazi. Mfundo Vilakazi, another solid performance. And what I liked about him watching this game is the fact that he is maturing in the game. There were times, like it was even Mdu actually who started, trying to start the part, and then the coaches were like, nope, which is something that I always appreciate. Tell them, because, you are right now behind the Sundowns and the goal difference thing matters. So continue scoring. Don't try and stop and make the party for the fans. Score goals, because fans want the league, or if you don't win the league, at least be second, so that next year we're in the Champions League, right? But we're talking about Mfundo Vilakazi. So matured. When he dribbles now, when he even does something that looks remotely like showboating, he's going forward. And this is something that he was hammered for when Chiefs played Yanga beginning of last season. And Nabi spoke to him. And from there you saw that he stopped that thing. Let's not say he started. He just stopped doing it. And then he only now dribbles and is going forward. And that's effective. That's what we're talking about. That's how players grow, because you understand what needs to be done. Because when he dribbled that guy and then he turned and then was attacking, fans were still entertained. So there is still an element of Kasi flavor, which is him dribbling people, and he's effective. He's scoring as well. He's assisting. So that highlights player growth, and the fact that he's only in his early 20s, like it means that as he's going to enter his 20s fully, he's going to be even more dangerous, because he has a teachable soul and he's listening to the coaches clearly, and he's just going to get better and better. Now, let's address one thing that I know that most people will say, oh, why are you negative? We won. Why are you being negative? No. Umthetho wins the ball a lot, but he also loses it a lot. And I've been saying this. We know what Umthetho brings to the team with regards to winning the ball. Okay? So let him do that, but don't let it be his responsibility to progress the ball, because you're only going to frustrate yourself, because he's going to win it and give it. Win it and lose it, right? You don't want that, because he's very good at winning the ball. And if you look at every player at Chiefs, nobody can win the ball as good or as well as Umthetho does. The issue is he can't progress it. So stop wanting him to progress the ball, because that's just going to cause problems for the coaching staff, for the other players, and for himself. Because now there was a moment like fans just also scream at him when he's on the ball. They want him to progress the ball. It's not his game. He's going to lose it, and then it's going to frustrate you, the fans. So let the guy play safe passes. Let the guy just do the simplest things. Win the ball, pass it to the closest and safest teammate, and then in that way you won't have people complaining about, oh, Umthetho loses the ball, because he will not be in a situation whereby he's forced to progress the ball. Number two, I hope that Ikotaru's confidence is not getting struck, because this is 2 games in a row now where he's had chances that you think he should have taken, but he didn't. But we'll talk about the bright side of this later on. The other thing, squad rotation. Squad rotation, I have a point of depth when I talk about the overall later on in the video, but in the squad rotation, I think Chiefs' next game is on the 22nd. Not I think, I know. It's on the 22nd of November. I don't understand why Ungcobo gets dropped today, right? Now, it might seem like a non-issue right now because we won the game, but my thing is, if there are players who are allowed to have 3-4 bad games, and be given another chance, why Ungcobo didn't have the greatest game against Durban City? The very next game you drop him, it doesn't even come on. It doesn't feel right. You get me? Especially for someone who's such a key player, because then it makes them play fearing that if I make a mistake, if I don't perform once, I'm going to get dropped. You understand? It's the same thing I was complaining about with Ukwenika, that he had been so solid and then you just drop him. I'm all for squad rotation, but Squad rotation, if you are playing on the 4th of November, then you are playing on the Friday, or Saturday. So there are games coming in thick and fast, but there's a gap, So allow the team that you have to play and be comfortable, because one other thing that you see is that Ngobo plays much better, or rather Ox plays much better when he's with Ngobo rather than when he's with Ucele. So because they are like this, they are like a pivot, but they are like straight line. But if he's playing with Ucele, they are more staggered, so one is ahead of the other. So whenever Ox gets the ball and he's playing with Ucele, he has to turn and try to find a forward pass, which is difficult for him, as we discussed earlier on. So I think that some rotations should not always be done. Next up is the subs were good today, but there was still a sub that was delayed. Uvelepai was tired. Even Umfundo, because the goal, it was scored by his side, and the game could have changed at that moment. Both Velepai and Vilakazi should have been taken off at the same time as Uikotaro, because they were tired and their tracking back was no longer as good, which is why when the cross was played into the box, no one was applying pressure to the person who crossed the ball. Then the cross goes in, yes, McCarthy now, but if that cross doesn't go in, which Umfundo was doing so well earlier on in the game, but because he was tired at that time, he couldn't, make that block. Now people will say, but he scored the goal after that. Yes, he did, but we also conceded. So if it was taken off at that time, the game is 2-0, then the others come in, it's 3-0, then we keep another clean sheet, because in other games against better teams, they score that goal, they come back into the game. So it's still those small things that even after winning, we have to also look at what could we have done better, because I will tell you now, Peterson is not happy that he didn't keep a clean sheet. Right? The defense is not happy that they didn't keep a clean sheet. But overall, I'm happy that the players and the shape is evolving nicely and they've gotten used to it. And most importantly, depth, right? I'm not talking about rotation. I'm just talking about depth. We have a lot of players now. Solomon's he has injury problems. He was not started. I was okay with that because he has injury problems. Munyane comes in, but then Munyane gets taken off. Solomon's comes in. So those kind of things, that depth allows us to do that. And the depth also allows you to explore other options. For example, could Mabue be a solution to the Mteto problem? We will wait and see. How did you see the game? Have you subscribed? If you haven't, please do make sure to subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelomo.